Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel and I am super excited because I am sharing two brand new ink colors from Catherine Pooler Designs today. I'll also be sharing a new stamp and die set. So let's jump right in and take a look at everything that I'll be working with today. First up, we have the two new Catherine Pooler inks. This is Honeycomb and the other color is Amber. They are both just gorgeous honey colored, beautiful. They're neutrals. They really work well with a ton of other colors, and you can use them for all kinds of spring, summer, and even fall cards and themes. So I'll stamp out my two colors, Honeycomb and Amber, and you can see that of course they are the same formulation of Catherine Pooler inks, which is the foam ink pad. They stamp really beautifully. I just used an acrylic block there and was able to get a gorgeous impression. These are the Fresh Blooms stamps and dies. So I'm starting out with several of those flowers. I do have my mini Misty this time because I want to stamp several of them at a time, and I'll start with the honeycomb color. It's really just such a gorgeous color. I have the other color that I have, I'd say is like buttercream. Maybe that's sort of close, but buttercream is lighter. And this is just such a great color for a whole bunch of different ideas, but I'm using them with flowers today. And then for the flower centers, I'll use amber. Now for the leaves, I wanted to go a little different and kind of have a great color combination here. So I'm using the All That Jazz ink for those. And one of my favorite things to do with Catherine Pooler inks is to swipe direct to paper. Now, you don't have to do and cover an entire piece of cardstock, especially if you're just going to be using the ink as a mat. So what I like to do is cut down a couple of pieces, say start with your A2 and then cut a quarter off on both sides. And then you have two mats, one in the honeycomb and one in that All That Jazz. And then I'll make an even smaller one, and that will be the white base that I will stamp the sentiment, which says thanks a bunch from the stamp set, right onto that white base. Now I've die cut all those flowers and leaves, so I'll just start using some small foam squares from Spellbinders to pop these up to add some dimension. This is going to be a very clean and simple card, but I wanted to have a little bit of dimension just to make it a little special. And this way I can tuck the leaves behind the flower and not have any problems there. Quick and simple and such a gorgeous color combination. This time I'm using an ink blending technique. This is another thing that you can easily do with Catherine Pooler inks. They really ink blend really smoothly. You can see that I'm not really using a heavy hand here. I don't want it to be completely opaque. I don't mind a little bit of white showing through here and there. And I'm not going to just use the honeycomb. The honeycomb was my base, and then I will add some splotches of the amber on top. Again, really smooth blend. And then I'll add a little spritz of water because these inks are reactive to water. So they will add kind of just a little spritz background, a little white spots here and there, just to make it a little artistic. I've cut out my cover panel die and I'll place that right on top with some liquid adhesive, and then it's time to stamp a few flowers. This time I'm using the largest flower, and I'll just rotate my cardstock so that I can keep the flower on the Misty door and stamp it twice. Once I do that, then I will have to move it over to stamp it a third time. You can see I'm double stamping here, but that's because I'm very light with tapping the ink on. I really don't want it to smush and have a lot of ink come out of the pad. So I'm very, very gentle when I tap with the ink pad on the stamps because of the foam pad. And this means that sometimes I will double stamp it. Next, I'll take some tape, hold it in place so that I can cut these flowers out. I do have some leaves again. This time I did cut them out with some orange peel ink, and again use some foam squares to pop everything up so that I can place those leaves behind. I'm stamping one of the other sentiments from the stamp set, and this time I will cut it out into a rectangle and place it on my card. These cards are so easy to pull together. The colors are so much fun to play with. I hope you'll check them out in the links in the description below. I want to thank you so much for stopping by today. I'll see you soon.